The first time I saw the spire of recognition, it didn't feel real. It hovered above the capital city of New Avalon like a shard of frozen lightning, suspended in defiance of gravity, humming with a frequency you couldn't quite hear but could always feel. Every citizen knew what it represented. Every citizen dreamed of it, and almost no one ever reached it. I stood at the base of the ascension platform, staring upward as streams of light ferried honored individuals into the spire's core. My name had been called only an hour ago, echoing across every communication channel on Earth and the outer colonies. Aaron Vale, recipient of the Luminary Award for contributions to interstellar survival systems. I still wasn't sure it wasn't a mistake. You're going to keep staring at it, Jexa said beside me, arms folded. Or, are you actually going to go accept the most important award in human history? I exhaled slowly. I built oxygen recyclers, Jexa. I didn't save humanity. She snorted. You saved the people who saved humanity. That counts. Maybe, but it didn't feel like it. The platform shimmered as it activated, a circular field of pale blue energy forming beneath my boots. I glanced once more at the city, at the millions of people who would never stand where I stood, and then the world dissolved into light. The interior of the spire was quiet, not silent but reverent, like stepping into a cathedral built not for gods, but for ideas. The walls weren't walls at all, just shifting layers of translucent data, flowing endlessly like rivers of memory. Names, faces, achievements flickered in and out of existence. The greatest minds, the bravest explorers, the architects of survival. And now, somehow, me. A path formed ahead, guiding me toward the central chamber. My heartbeat echoed in my ears as I walked. At the far end stood a single figure. She was exactly as I'd seen in broadcasts, but being in her presence felt entirely different. Taller than I expected, wrapped in a sleek ceremonial uniform that seemed to shift color with the ambient light. Her eyes, sharp, observant, locked onto mine the moment I stepped into the chamber. Director Alara Voss, the most powerful woman in human space. She was the one who decided who mattered. Aaron Vale, she said, her voice calm measured. You're late. I blinked. The transport. I'm joking. I wasn't sure she was. I stepped forward, stopping a few paces away. Director Voss. Her gaze lingered on me, studying me in a way that felt unsettlingly thorough. You're not what I expected, she said. I hesitated. I get that a lot. No, she said softly. You don't. Before I could respond, the chamber shifted. Light gathered between us, coalescing into a crystalline object, intricate, radiant, alive with faint pulses of energy. The Luminary Award. It wasn't just a symbol. It was a key, a recognition encoded into the central systems of human civilization. Doors would open for me now. Influence, access, power. Everything I'd never wanted. Alara, director. I corrected quickly. There are people more deserving. She raised a hand, silencing me instantly. Deserving is a dangerous word, she said. It assumes we measure worth accurately. She stepped closer, lifting the crystal. The light reflected in her eyes as she extended it toward me. Take it. I hesitated for only a second before accepting it. The moment my fingers touched the surface, a surge of warmth spread through my arm, like the spire itself was acknowledging me. A low hum resonated through the chamber. It recognizes you, Alara said quietly. I looked down at the award. What exactly is it? Permission, she replied. Before I could ask what that meant, the chamber door sealed behind me with a soft hiss. I looked up. Alara's expression had changed. The formality was gone. Something else had taken its place. Something heavier. Now, she said, her voice lower, more personal. We can talk. I didn't like the way she said that. This isn't part of the ceremony, is it? I asked. No. The word landed with finality. She turned and walked toward the center of the chamber, gesturing for me to follow. Against my better judgment, I did. The flowing data around us dimmed, focusing into a single projection above us. A map. Not of Earth, not of the colonies. Something larger. Do you know what this is? She asked. I studied it, frowning. Deep space sectors. Beyond mapped territory. Beyond public map territory, she corrected. I glanced at her. Meaning? Meaning we've been lying, she said plainly. That got my attention. About what? About how alone we are. The projection shifted, highlighting several points scattered across the void. Each one pulsed faintly, like distant beacons. Signals, she said. Old ones. Older than any human transmission. My stomach tightened. You're saying... Yes. We weren't alone. The idea wasn't new. Humanity had speculated for centuries. But speculation was different from confirmation. Different from this. Why show me this? I asked. Because you're the only one who can help us survive what's coming. I let out a short, disbelieving laugh. I design life support systems. Exactly. Something in her tone made my chest tighten. What aren't you telling me? I asked. She stepped closer again, her gaze unwavering. We made contact, she said. The words hit like a physical force. When? 3 months ago. And you're just telling me now? We've been trying to understand them, she said. To communicate. To negotiate. And her silence was answer enough. They're not interested in talking, are they? No, she said softly. They're interested in us. A chill ran down my spine. In what way? She held my gaze for a long moment. Then she said it. They're coming. The chamber felt colder after that. How long do we have? I asked. Not long enough. That's not an answer. It's the only one I have. I ran a hand through my hair, trying to process everything. So, you gave me an award to recruit me for an alien invasion? That's one way to phrase it. I stared at her. There are thousands of engineers more qualified than me. No, she said. There aren't. That's not true. It is, she insisted, because they're all thinking too small. I frowned. What does that mean? She gestured to the projection again. These entities, we don't understand their biology, their technology, their intent. But we know one thing. What? They alter environments. I blinked. Terraforming. Not exactly, she said. More like rewriting. The words sent a shiver through me. They don't adapt to environments, she continued. They adapt environments to them. Entire ecosystems changed. And you think they'll do that to Earth? I think they already started. My breath caught. What? She tapped the projection. One of the distant signals expanded, revealing a planet, once lush, now wrong. The colors were off. The atmosphere distorted. That was a human colony, she said. Was. What happened to the people? She didn't answer. She didn't need to. I felt the weight of the crystal in my hand, suddenly heavier than before. You want me to build something? I said slowly. Yes. Something that can protect us from that. Yes. I let out a hollow laugh. That's impossible. No, she said. It's not. Her certainty was unnerving. You don't know that. I do, she said. Because you've already done it. I stared at her. What are you talking about? She stepped even closer, close enough that I could see the faint lines of exhaustion in her eyes. You're oxygen recyclers, she said. They don't just recycle air. They stabilize microenvironments. They resist external contamination. That's not the same thing. It's the foundation, she interrupted. You created a system that maintains human-compatible conditions in hostile environments. I hesitated. She wasn't wrong, but scaling that to a planetary level is exactly what we need. I shook my head. That would take decades. We don't have decades. Then we don't have a solution, I said flatly. For a moment, neither of us spoke. Then Alara did something unexpected. She smiled. Not a reassuring smile. Not a polite one. A knowing one. That's where you're wrong, she said. What do you mean? I asked. She reached out and tapped the crystal in my hand. The Luminary Award. It's not just permission, she said. It's access. Access to what? Everything. The word hung in the air. All research. All classified technologies. All experimental systems. I frowned. That's dangerous. Yes, she agreed. Which is why we don't give it to just anyone. I looked down at the crystal again. This is why you chose me, I said. It's part of it. What's the other part? She met my gaze. You don't follow orders. I almost laughed. That's not exactly a desirable trait. It is when the situation demands innovation, she said. We don't need someone who will do what they're told. We need someone who will do what's necessary. I swallowed hard. And you think that's me? I know it is. The confidence in her voice was unsettling. Why? I asked. She hesitated. Just for a second. Then she said something I didn't expect. Because I've been watching you for years. That stopped me cold. What? Your work. Your decisions. Your tendencies. I took a step back. That's not creepy at all. She ignored the comment. You consistently choose solutions that prioritize long-term survival over short-term success, she said. Even when it costs you. That's called doing my job. No, she said. That's called thinking differently. I crossed my arms. And that's why you think I can save the world. Yes. The simplicity of her answer was almost insulting. You're putting a lot of faith in me. I am. Why? She held my gaze. And then she said it. The unexpected thing. The thing that changed everything. Because if you fail, she said quietly, I fail with you. I frowned. What does that mean? It means, she said, you're not doing this alone. I assumed that. No, she said. You didn't. She stepped closer again, her voice softer now. I'm not assigning you to a team. I'm joining you. I blinked. What? I'll be working with you directly. That doesn't make any sense, I said. You're the director of the Spire. You have an entire civilization to manage. And I'm choosing to focus on this. Why? She didn't answer immediately. Instead, she looked up at the projection, the distorted planet, the distant signals, then back at me, because this is the only thing that matters. There was something else in her eyes, something I couldn't quite place. Also, she added, almost as an afterthought, I trust you. That caught me off guard. You don't even know me. I know enough. I let out a slow breath. This was insane. An alien force was coming. Humanity was unprepared. And the most powerful woman in existence had just handed me unlimited access and decided to work with me. You realize, I said, this is the part where I say no. She nodded. I do. And you won't. I raised an eyebrow. You seem very sure of that. I am. Why? She smiled again. That same knowing smile. Because you've already decided. I hated that she was right. I looked down at the crystal, feeling its faint pulse against my skin. Permission. Access. Responsibility. I thought about the colonies she'd shown me. About the people who were gone. About Earth. About everyone. I closed my eyes for a moment, Then I opened them. "When do we start?" I asked. Her smile softened, just slightly. "Now." The spire came alive around us, the data streams intensifying, responding to the decision. The project, whatever it would become, had already begun. But as I stood there, holding the weight of the future in my hands, I couldn't shake the feeling that something else had shifted too. Something more personal. I glanced at Alara. She was watching me, her expression unreadable. "You said something earlier," I said. "Yes, that you've been watching me for years." I did. "Why?" For the first time since I'd met her, she hesitated. Then she gave a small, almost reluctant smile. "Because," she said, "I was waiting for the moment you'd be ready." "Ready for what?" She met my gaze. And this time, her answer wasn't about the mission. It wasn't about survival. It was something else entirely. "Ready to stand beside me," she said. And just like that, I realized the award wasn't the surprise. The invasion wasn't the surprise. She was. And whatever came next, we would face it together. Ending note. As the Spire systems aligned with our command, I understood the truth behind everything that had just happened. The award was never about recognition. It was about selection. About trust. About choosing someone to carry the weight of humanity's future. But more than that, it was about partnership. And as the first alerts of an approaching unknown force lit up the stars beyond our world, I realized something even more unexpected. For the first time in my life, I wasn't afraid.